Yes.
Is that working? Yes. So good evening, everyone. On behalf of the League of Women Voters.
No, it's better to put it closer to your mouth. That removes the feedback. Sorry, Susan.
Okay.
It's up there somewhere. It's somewhere to tell you.
So on behalf of the League of Women
Turn her
Voters
mic down.
area, I'd like to welcome you to the Candidates Forum for the Shasta County Office of Education. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to remind you that the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization. The League encourages informed and active citizen participation in government and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not endorse any candidate or partisan office. Before we hear from the candidates, I'm going to share with you some information. The number of candidates, board areas, and positions, responsibilities of the office, voting reminders, and how the forum will run. We send information to the candidates, but it's always good for them too to have a review. So there are 10 candidates in the selection, 1 seat for Area 1 and 3 seats for Area 2. Area 1 includes Enterprise, Grant, Reading, and Shasta Union Elementary, and Area 2 are all the other schools. Is that correct? I'm looking at our superintendent, Mike Cleveland. So Area 1, we have 1 seat up for election, and it's a 4-year term. The 2 candidates for that are Michael Orlicki, who couldn't be here today. I have a statement for him, and Michelle Renee Tyson, who also sent in a statement. Area 2, there's a 2-year term, 1 seat available, and that will be Teresa Roberts, who sent in a statement, and the Cindy Book. For Area 2 4-year terms, there are 2 seats. And so we have most of those candidates here: Dolores Lucero, Richard Gallardo, Jessica French, and Don Oust, Don Oust, and Jackie Lavavera, who is not available. So the election, just so, because the point is to vote, right? The election will be held on November 5th. Please register to vote if you haven't done so yet. You can register to vote at vote.ca.gov. To receive a mail-in ballot, your voter registration must be completed by the 21st of October. If you aren't sure if you've registered, maybe you've moved since the last election, you can go to sos.ca.gov and check to see if you're registered where you live. And information is also available at vote411.org. Ballots will be mailed to the registrar's office on October 7th. The drop box is open on the 8th, and the mail ballots must be postmarked by 11:05. I'm sure you're remembering all of this as you're taking copious notes. There's information on multiple websites about that too. And you can always track your ballot using ballot tracks with an X. So the election is certified officially by the 5th. It takes a while to count and to look at all of those. So you're all very informed and connected. You'll see when those numbers start coming out. So I wanted to go over just the responsibilities. Part of our what the League does is to inform citizens. So the candidate responsibilities are to work with the superintendent to establish the direction and priorities for the County Office of Education through its budgetary responsibilities, and to provide leadership to support access and success of public education. So there are a number of roles they have, and there are sheets here that Scoey has about all of these if you wanted to hit that or follow along. The responsibilities include approving the County Office of Education budget, the local control accountability plan for the Shasta County Office of Education student programs. So those programs that belong to Scoey Juvenile Court School, Excel Academy, and Shasta County Independent Study Program. The Scoey board, also approves policies for the County Office of Education, except related to employees, for those same programs. not for everyone, but for those programs. Sets the salary of the superintendent of schools, considers approval of charter schools, those that are seeking to be county-wide or by appeal, hears interdistrict transfer and expulsion appeals, and is on the county committee for school district reorganization. The SCOE board does not govern school districts in Shasta County. Each district has its own school board and superintendent who employ their staff and administer the education of schools in those districts. So all of the individual districts. Complaints or concerns that are related to those schools, whether it's staff, education, extracurricular activities, are under the direct authority of those superintendents. And SCOE also has information on its board that we all are considering that to operate effectively, the board must have a unity of purpose, keep focused on student learning and achievement, as well as the county Office of Education, work collaboratively with the superintendent, communicate a common vision, take responsibility for the board's performance, operate openly with dignity and trust, govern in a dignified and professional manner within board adopted policies and procedures, treating everyone with civility and respect, and ensure opportunities for the diverse views of the community to inform board deliberations. So now the format for this evening, and we are recording the forum. Mike, is it going to be live streamed or is it going to be available after?
It's being live streamed as well as being recorded, and we don't edit our videos in the regards to removing content or editing what any of you have to say. We only edit it so the viewers can hear better and maybe see better.
So it will be in its entirety.
So it's on at Mr. Mike Media 96001 is a live stream, and is also streaming if you're on social media right now to the Legal Women Voters of the Reading area Facebook page.
And will be available there.
Yes.
So our format for this evening, when you came in, you might have been given cards, little 3x5 cards, to write your questions. So the way that we operate is we take your questions. We have two members here who put them together because often we get some of the same questions. Make sure they pertain to the evening and the candidates. If you haven't gotten one, raise your hand. Someone will bring you one. Or if a question comes to you later, we can bring you another card. When you write your questions, we ask that they apply to all of the candidates. We'll ask the same question of all of them. And during our forums, we ask you, the audience members, not to clap or shout, yays or boos in response to any comments by the candidates. So more like a classroom with guest speakers kind of vibe. And why, you may ask yourself, which is a good question. So your candidates have invested a lot of time, energy, money into their candidacy. Thought. We want to provide them the opportunity to share their thoughts and ideas with us. And you all made sacrifices to get here. Transportation, made dinner early or late, arranged for childcare or elder care. And so we want to make sure that everyone hears from all the candidates. We will give an hour and a half to this forum. We have a lot of questions and 5 candidates, so we want to make sure that we hear as much as we can from them. So we'll move quickly through the questions, and you can continue to send in ones that come up. So the order of speaking has been determined by lot, and Dolores will be going first. For the second question, Richard will go first, so we'll kind of go in order like that, so everybody gets a chance to be first. Each candidate will make an initial presentation of 3 minutes about their background, areas of concern, and their reasons for running for office. And I will begin with the candidates' statements that have been handed to me. I'll be asking all of the questions based on your questions. We may not get to all of them, and some of them may be rephrased because they're merged. And all the subsequent questions will be 1 minute, and then they'll have 2 minutes at the end to summarize. Does that track with what you were saying? Great. So I will read first a statement by Michael Orlicki. you. Oh, and I'm sorry. We also have timers so that you will know how much time you have left. There's the 1 minute, the 30-second, and the 15-second paddle, and then the stop. All right. So, I'm sorry, give you time. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry I cannot be here tonight, but I wanted to have an opportunity for you to hear some of my ideas. I am Michael Orlicki, and I'm running for the Shasta County Board of Education for Area 1. I've been involved in education since 2005. During that time, I worked as a classroom aide, a part-time custodian, a coach, and a teacher. My experience is from pre-kindergarten all the way to being an adjunct college professor of English. I believe education is a pathway to a successful future. I believe all students can and do learn. My main goals for running are to increase literacy rates in Shasta County, to stem the tide of harmful and addictive substances invading our schools, and to build community between the school and families. I believe literacy is one of the most important pieces of a quality education. Without it, all other subjects will be a struggle. Too many harmful substances are coming into our schools. As educators, parents, and other community members, we need to educate our students on the dangers of these substances and provide opportunities for our students to be engaged in the community in a positive way. So there are limited opportunities for students to become addicted. Finally, I want to build a community between schools and families. Teachers and parents need to form partnerships for the betterment of our students. I view it as a three-legged stool: parents, teachers, and students. When all three are working together, the stool stands. If one leg is missing, our education system does not function. I'm hoping to earn your votes on November 5th. My involvement in education spans many different areas. Everyday parents, students, and teachers partake in some form of our education system. I believe if we can all work together, we can make our schools in Shasta County the best in the state. Thank you, and I hope to work with you all in the future to help ensure the success of every student in our schools. And that was Michael. And this one is from Michelle Tyson. Michelle Raven Tyson. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Michelle is running for the Shasta County Office of Education, Area 1, because she believes that the decisions made today will shape the future for our children. As a mother, grandmother, and lifelong advocate for education, she has dedicated herself to ensuring that every child has the opportunity to succeed. Michelle's passion for education began through her personal experiences as a parent. She is a mother of 4 and a grandmother, with 2 of her children currently attending public school in Shasta County. After retiring from her career as a registered dental assistant, Michelle became deeply involved in her children's education. In 2014, when her daughter entered kindergarten and when her son began first grade, she learned that both children faced unique challenges. Her daughter struggled with selective mutism, and her son needed an IEP. Michelle began volunteering regularly at their school and eventually became a substitute paraprofessional. Over the years, she's worked with students from TK through 8th grade, gaining valuable insight into a variety of classrooms. This experience has given her a unique perspective on the concerns of teachers and the challenges facing our education system today. She's heard firsthand from teachers who are worried about the lack of time for instruction due to an overemphasis on social emotional learning programs. Behavior management is another concern, as new policies have made it difficult to hold students accountable. Teachers feel unsupported with policies that have removed recess as a consequence for misbehavior and made homework optional or non-existent. Michelle believes these issues must be addressed to protect the integrity of the classroom environment and ensure teachers can focus on instruction. One of Michelle's key campaign priorities is promoting intellectual growth and lifelong learning. She believes that schools should be more than places where students simply pass exams. They should ignite curiosity, encourage critical thinking, and prepare students to adapt to future challenges. She's also committed to ensuring a bias-free educational environment where students are empowered to explore diverse perspectives and develop their own independent views. Michelle is a firm believer that education should inspire students to think for themselves without external influences pushing any particular ideology. In addition to supporting intellectual growth, Michelle emphasizes the importance of supporting teachers and encouraging parental involvement. Teachers are the backbone of our education system, and retaining and supporting them is essential. At the same time, parents must be active participants in their children's learning, working together with teachers to ensure student success. Finally, Michelle is dedicated to protecting parental rights in education. She believes that parents should always have a say in their children's learning experiences, and she will work to make sure that their voices are heard and important decisions are made. Michelle is passionate about creating a brighter future for our children, one where they're empowered to learn, grow, and succeed. Together, she knows we can build an education system that fosters curiosity, supports our students, and upholds the right of parents in shaping their children's future. I'll do it for you for 3 minutes. And this one is from Teresa Roberts. I'm a 51-year resident of Shasta County and a business owner for the past 23 years. I have 6 children and 8 grandchildren. I'm running for Shasta County Office of Education Trustee because of the concerns I have for our public education system in Shasta County. Education should be about traditional education, about learning math and English, but studies show 8th grade students in California rank 48th in the nation in math and English proficiency. I'm an advocate for the trades and believe they should be offered to every student no matter where they go to school. Trades are the best way for many students to discover an individualized way of learning, a way to excel in math because they are building with their hands and using tools that need exact measurements, using geometry, calculus, and fractions. While they may not be excelling in traditional classroom education, they can experience a new excitement in a way that meets their unique way of learning. They are also encouraged because they can make a living without incurring college debt, and most importantly, they can blaze their own path to entrepreneurship. I'm concerned about the growing political ideologies encroaching the schools. They have no place in public education. It is important that students learn about government and current events, but it is not appropriate for them to become activists, to be taught what to think instead of how to think. A critical issue facing our society right now is parent rights. I am a parent rights supporter. As every parent knows, puberty is a very hard time for children who need to have confidence in who they are as a person, who they are in their own identity and body. Influencing children in this area is not appropriate. Parents know their children and should never have to find out months later that their child is struggling with their identity and on a path to transitioning. Informing and collaborating with parents has nothing to do with outing. Outing is about sexual orientation, not identity. It has nothing to do with privacy. Once the whole school knows, privacy is null and void. If I'm elected to serve this county as the Shasta County Office of Education Trustee, I will strive to make education traditional again. I will bring back the trust between parents and the education system. I will support educators. Because of my business background, I will also ensure fiscal accountability, making sure the budget is geared towards students and not more programs. I can be PM'd on Teresa Roberts for SCOE 2024 for any questions. And the last, you have to hear from me about this. Our last statement is from Amy Cavallari. I'm Amy Cavallari, the incumbent candidate for Area 2, appointed in May 2024. I'm grateful to the League of Women Voters for offering to read this introduction for me since I'm unable to attend tonight's forum due to illness. I come to this position with a master's degree in organizational leadership. As a self-employed consultant to local nonprofits, I'm dedicated to making life in our community better for everyone, particularly our next generation. Some of my current contracts include working with Reach Higher Shasta to strengthen career pathways for local youth, the Health Alliance of Northern California supporting collaborative efforts around healthcare for the underserved, and with Ascend Wilderness Experience building organizational capacity for youth trips in the Trinity Alps. As a board member, it is my duty to provide citizen input for SCOE and ensure our tax dollars are being used responsibly. Since I joined in May, I've attended every regular and special board meeting until I was sidelined by COVID this week, and I have been active in the early literacy subcommittee. I believe in working collaboratively with my fellow board members to support equitable access to education for all students and in following the data to maximize the efficiency and effectiveness of our local education system. I have skin in the game. I'm the only current member of the board with children enrolled in Shasta County Public Schools. I live in this community, but it lives in me too. I am passionate about ensuring that every one of our students is supported on their individual pathway to success. Ultimately, they succeed not as Republicans or Democrats, but as the best version of themselves. That is what informs the nonpartisan approach to governance I intend to take when I continue on the board. You can learn more about me on my website, amycavallari.com. I appreciate your effort in coming out this evening and to learn more about the candidates. And I respectfully ask for your vote on November 5th. So we will begin with you, Dolores, your 3-minute introduction and your time is
My name is Dolores Lucero, and I'm actually a business owner.
We're having microphone problems. Dolores, hang on one second. Maybe just let her use your mic since that's already set.
Sure, we have this one too.
Oh, whatever you want to do.
Can you hear me?
Not really.
Okay. Now?
She's going to turn it up. Keep going. She'll get you. No, it's up there in the sound booth. They'll get you. There you go.
Okay.
Just keep going. You're fine.
Okay, my name is Dolores Lucero, and I'm a resident of the city of Shasta Lake. I've been here for 20 years, and I'm actually running for Shasta County Office of Education Board of Trustees because I do believe I have qualifications. And so I hope that everybody hears what I have to say, and I hope I get to vote.
Pretty low. Shouldn't be because it's a lot lower. But maybe she's got
Okay, Richard Gallardo, I'm gonna read my candidate statement as part of my 3 minutes. What has the SCOE done with $24 million of COVID, ARPA, CARE Act, and ESSER dollars in the last 3 years? It has purchased unnecessary buildings and land and expanded programs and staff. SCOE currently has an enrollment of 169 students. However, employs over 380 full-time staff. SCOE blindly follows state laws and policies that limit or even prohibit parental involvement with their kids. We must stop the nonsense of allowing the kids to call themselves victims and instead teach them responsibility for their actions. The schools have been turned into mental health institutions and social experimentation centers instead of actually focusing on learning the basics of reading, writing, and math. SCOE was managing the substitute teacher who exposed himself to the kids in the classroom at Anderson Middle School late last year. As of last month, his teaching credential was still valid. The gender identity fiasco is allowing kids that do not have the maturity to make decisions that may irreparably damage them physically and mentally for the rest of their lives. Time for sound and moral leadership at SCOE. Vote for someone that is not afraid to confront the failures of SCOE. So I am a public school graduate, Anderson High School. My son currently attends a public school. I started fighting Common Core 6-7 years ago when it was still optional. I joined a group. We traveled the county, went to the state Board of Education meetings to try to educate people that it was a socialist European educational model. We obviously lost that battle, and Common Core was put into place. By the way, it's still here. They just don't call it Common Core. We're still using the same standards. I worked for the federal government as a civilian. I did 21 years as a military active and reserve. I have 18 years as a state employee previously. I'm currently a private commercial driver. I know the government bureaucracies at all levels. I know how they work. I know how they're supposed to work. And I can navigate through them very quickly and very easily. And there's going to be a lot more to say for the rest of the evening. Thank you.
My name is Don Alst, and I have lived in Shasta County for 33 years. For 30 years, I've worked as a teacher and school administrator, 29 of those here in Shasta County, 13 years at Gateway as a teacher and school principal. And when I was at Gateway, I started off teaching agricultural science at Mountain Lakes High School, first year that they unified. And the second agricultural program in Trinidad program in the state of California. But it's a lot of fun and a real challenge. I was there for 4 years. And other administrators in the district encouraged me to go into administration, needed some more experience, so I transferred to another school and started teaching junior high. And ended up getting my administrative credential there, was an administrator at several small elementary schools. After 13 years, I moved to the position of superintendent principal at Blackview Elementary School in Shingletown. And I was there for 16 years and retired 3 years ago, mainly so that I could help I have 5 grandchildren, and I could help them with them a lot. Both of my daughters went through school here in Shasta County and going to Shasta College, and then they went on to universities, and one is now a school psychologist here in Reading, and one is a certified librarian. And so they have kids that are now going to school, and the last 3 years I've gotten to help at their school that they go to. I'm on the school site council, and it's wonderful being a volunteer, not charging anything, and doing a lot of field trips, and just get to be with kids. And it's a lot of fun. So my experience as a superintendent principal, I had a lot of experience working with SCOE. If it wasn't for SCOE, Columbia Elementary, all the other small school districts that work so collaboratively well together, I never would have made it for 16 years. So SCOE had a lot of support for small school districts, and that's one of the main reasons that I'm running when I have time and being retired. And the other is just I want to see those continue for the small schools.
Hello, I'm Jessica French, and I'm running for Area 2 of the Shasta County Board of Education, which, in case you don't know, is all the area except Reading, right? I think some people might not know, because that's the first question I always get is, what is Area 2? Is this working? Okay. So first and foremost, I'm a mother of 2 public school children. They attend Foothill High School and North Cow Creek. One of my children is in special education and has been his entire school career. So I've had the experience of navigating difficulties with my own child that has struggled in public education and been able to learn to be an advocate for myself and my child and my family and know about our rights when it comes to public education and what the schools are required to do to help him be successful. Also, I spent a lot of years learning how to be a good partner with my kids' schools, because I feel like that has been most important in their education, building relationships with their teachers, who I consider some of my best friends still to this day. My son, when he went to high school, we're still talking to his middle school teacher because we love her that much. I volunteered in my kids' schools a lot. I sat on many committees, many boards, some special education boards where there was discrepancies in the way that they were identifying children, and they asked me to participate as a parent to help them through this 6-month process of becoming better at what they were doing with special education. I was the vice president of the PTA, the communications person, all those kind of things. So that's my experience as a parent. Also, in addition, I have a whole entire professional career in education. For 17 years, I've been a guardian of 1,000 children in public school systems here for education. I work for a nonprofit that works with the Bureau of Educational Affairs in Washington, D.C., and we support cultural promotion. We promote cultural exchange through our high school programs. So that has allowed me to learn how to work with all different kinds of people, from different cultures, from different customs, from that speak different languages, to different economic divides and things like that. So I think that I would be a great candidate for this role. All of those things.
Hi, I'm Cindy Vogt. First of all, I just want to thank you for hosting us this evening and for all of you who have chosen to attend. I don't have a long, well, probably will be long now, 3 minutes. But anyway, part of my candidate statement, or an additional part of my candidate statement, after a 20-year career at UCLA as a student affairs officer, my family and I moved to Shasta County in 2010. In the years since, I've had the opportunity to serve my community in a number of ways. Currently, I am employed by California Heritage Youth Build Academy, aka CHIBA. Previously, for 12 years, I was a case manager. My new role in what I hope will soon become semi-retirement is community liaison. I'm also the McKinney-Vento School Liaison, and I've worked at CHIBA since 2012. CHIBA is a local charter high school serving students who, for one reason or another, have not realized success in a traditional high school setting. Additionally, I have served on the first 5 commission as a commissioner since 2014 until present. First 5 Shasta served Shasta County children, 0 to 5, providing early childhood resources and opportunities for the children and their families. I'm also on the commission for the Shasta County Juvenile Justice. I became commissioner there in 2016 and am still currently. The commission works closely with Shasta County Probation, serving both incarcerated youth and youth on probation to better guarantee their chances for future success. I have been serving on the Shasta County Board of Education since June of 2023. As you all know, the Shasta County Board of Education provides leadership and citizen input for county educational programs and services available to Shasta County students and their families. I filled a position that was vacated, a board position that was vacated when Steve McFarland passed away. And there were a number of us, several up here tonight, that applied for that position. It wasn't an elected position. And initially my thought process behind that was to be of service. It's been a long-standing theme throughout my life. I think my kids can vouch for me in that regard. Little did I know what all I was, getting into in the best of ways. I think that to just learn about all of the opportunities and
Thank you. And Mr. Gallardo is going to go next. I just wanted to acknowledge our fearless timekeepers here, Holland, Chase, and Patty Jilovich. And we have our people who are coordinating our questions here, Pam Crow and Tammy Cole. So thanks to both of you. So this one is 1 minute. As a board member, how would you find out what the county thinks in order to set the direction for the whole county?
So public participation is what's key. Parents especially, because the kids belong to the parents unless they're guardianships. So public participation is key. Getting the public to the meetings, so 1:30 p.m. meetings, no more of that. We need to have 6 p.m. or later meetings every month. And we get the, gosh darn it, I had a thought there, but and another problem with the logistics with the day meetings is that the parents can't attend. So that's the reason for the night meeting. But we have to get everybody involved. There has to be mass communications before the meetings and during the meetings. And that includes also the agenda's coming out 72 hours beforehand, while that's the minimum for state law. I'm going to make a policy that we do 5-day advance notice on the agenda.
Be sure to hold up.
Well, I know that as being on a board, I had a board for 16 years. You have to work as a team, and can't be individuals on that board. And I'm going to work closely with the school superintendent, the staff, the different directors on the board, listen to parents, and see what they have to say and what they see as important to them. And you have to stay informed. And I definitely, I know how to do that. I did it for 16 years, and I'm doing that. And to do that for this board. You have to work together as a board, and you have to listen very carefully and work closely with the superintendent.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. As a board member, how would you find out what the county thinks in order to set the direction for the county?
Okay, how do I find out what the county thinks? Relationship building, communication. Today I sat in a school board meeting, and two of the board members actually spoke to the great amount of communication and partnership and relationship building that SCOE does in general as a team. And so for me as a board member, I would definitely be talking to people in the community all the time about what their thoughts are and keeping my ears to the ground, kind of, which I already do. There are some things I've already heard that are concerns about things I might want to look into in the future. So I'll continue doing that and working with parents and stakeholders. And
So I think I have a little bit of a foot up in this regard because I'm already on the board, but it has been my experience that in partnership with all of the programs that SCOE offers, their amazing staff, and their connections with the community and the different schools in our county, that we are getting a lot of feedback from the community. Individual schools and districts have parent and student surveys. We rely on the data from those surveys. Our communications department is wonderful. They are putting out information on a consistent basis. And again, like Jessica mentioned, just being out there in the community, participating in other activities as much as possible, so that we can bring any areas of concern or information and kudos when we're doing things the right way back to the board.
Can you repeat that question? Thank you.
As a board member, how would you find out what the county thinks in order to set the direction?
Well, I try to attend quite a few board meetings in a couple schools, like the Gateway, including the Shasta County Office of Education. So I usually been, I work well with them, and I've actually been kind of like asking for a lot of public records requests. And they actually, I don't have a problem with the school or communicating with them or the board. And, I think the more you understand what the Office of Education does, what they cannot do, I think it's important, because we can always blame the school. We cannot always blame the staff. Us as parents, because I have 3 children, they're grown, but the thing is, we parents gotta do more. We also can't just blame everybody. We also need to figure out, okay, what am I doing as a parent? And what I need to change as a parent. And we can't rely on everybody else to do our job as a parent. So I look at it that we're lacking on communication because we're not doing our own job.
So you'll begin this time, and this is a 2-part question, hopefully. How can SCOE better support students with mental health challenges? And do you support SCOE's current focus on substance abuse prevention?
Yeah, well, just 1 minute. I gotta be quick. Social emotional, that was the first part, right?
Mental health challenges.
I mean,
supporting-
I've always worked in small rural districts that, have a lot of poverty, have a lot of drug abuse, a lot of foster youth, a lot of situations of of students living with grandparents, maybe even great-grandparents. And I implemented this thing that's called Capturing Kids' Hearts, changed the total culture of my school district and helping understand these students and giving them the support they needed. SCOE also provided a lot of training. Kelly Rizzi, assuming she's still there, came and did a lot of training for us on ACEs and how to identify that, and strategies on helping those students. Our discipline rates went way down, suspension rates went way down. I'm done, sorry.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. How can SCOE better support students with mental health challenges, and do you support SCOE's current focus on substance abuse prevention?
Okay, so we'll start with the second part. I definitely support their stance on focusing on substance abuse. I have personal experience with that. My brother died of fentanyl overdose at 22 years old. And it is prevalent. My son's in high school, like I said, everywhere there is addiction problems in high school. So I definitely think it needs to be a top priority, if not, number 2, aside from reading. With mental health services, I think that the Community Connect program is doing an excellent job making referrals for students that have mental health issues. Our problem is that we don't have enough mental health clinicians to serve those students. And so I think that maybe they could negotiate some partnerships with clinicians that could support the mental health of students that need it. I mean, students have been through a lot since 2018 in our community. We had the car fire, we've had COVID where they were stuck at home. There is gun violence. I mean, they have reasons to need therapy.
So to echo what Jessica said, referencing community schools, or not community schools, but Community Connect, that I think that has been a tremendous addition to the services that SCOE offers. We have connectors on-site in numerous schools throughout the county and others that we can refer students to. I wish that we could focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic, but that's not the world we live in anymore. So if we're not providing mental health services to our students and helping them emotionally regulate in the classroom, it's disruptive to all the students and the teachers in the classroom. And the substance use prevention education in the county is really gearing up. I personally sit on several committees, the Shasta County Community Health Alliance for Children, substance use, etc. So a lot of work is being done.
We'll come to you, Dolores. I'll read it again for you too. How can SCOE better support students with mental health challenges, and do you support SCOE's current focus on substance abuse prevention?
I actually do. I'll tell you why, which I never usually talk about this. My daughter took her life, okay, in 2015. If there was more, actually, I'm gonna say this, that if the school reached out to the parents and to notify the parents, I think sometimes you could save your child. So I feel that there's also things that like I said, we can't always blame the school, but also as parents, we also have to communicate with the teachers. Because when I had my children in school, I was very, very strict. And I actually make sure that I was connected with the schools and make sure the teachers knew who I was. I went into the class, I would sit in the class and make sure that everything was, I was understanding what's going on. But the kids do fall in depression. And this has nothing to do with COVID-19. Excuse me. It started a long time ago. There's things that's been going on for years.
Substance education, that's something the kids need on a perpetual basis. As far as the mental health programs, they don't belong in the schools. They belong with public health and they belong in the private sector. Those entities should be providing the mental health counseling for the kids, not the schools. Again, that detracts from actual education. So the kids that need the counseling can get it. Either the counselors come to them, but they're not school employees. They're other employees of other entities. So the mental health, unfortunately, the kids, they're taking advantage of this. There are some kids that do need some guidance, but then there are all the smart kids that know that they can use any excuse that they want, an ACE score, so let's say, to avoid responsibility for their actions. And it's making the kids soft, and it's making them, it's damaging their upbringing, and it's gonna make them damaged adults.
We're focusing on our answers. So the next question is, what is your stance on AB 1955, the Support Academic Futures and Educators for Today's Youth, the Safety Act?
Okay, so, and I have 1 minute.
We can do 2 minutes. Is that okay for this one?
It's a big topic. So the Safety Act, when people start talking to me about the Safety Act, first I want to go back and talk about why the Safety Act came about. Because a year ago, we had a policy, our anti-harassment policy, that specified that if students came to school and they let a teacher know, or they talked to a counselor, they talked to somebody and said, I think I want to go by a different name. The policy at that time was to gather a team together, encourage the child to talk to their parents, bring the group together, which would include the parents. The verbiage said, unless there was extreme circumstances or something to that effect. So to me, that was an excellent policy. It left room for flexibility in case of extenuating circumstances where it was not safe to talk to a parent of the child. Then a group of people came along because of a case that happened in Chico where there was a situation with a student that this had actually happened there, and it blew up into this humongous culture war where one of our school districts tried to implement a policy where they were forcing teachers and bus drivers and administrators and every single employee to notify within a certain amount of time parents if the child said they wanted to be called a different name. So this forced the state to get involved and have to create a whole law, which I think was ridiculous, that it wasn't necessary. I think we should have left well enough alone, not created problems in the first place, and stop trying to create culture wars in our community.
Thank you, Jessica. It's a very complicated topic, and I don't profess to be an expert on it by any means. What I will say is that I have worked for 12 years in alt ed classroom setting with a variety of students with a variety of needs, some of them more challenging than others. We do have students on site that have transitioned or are transitioning or want to be called by a different name or may be struggling with their sexual identity. Never once have I had a student, and I would have been the person that they would come to as the case manager. Never once in 12 years have I had a student come into my office and bare their heart and soul to me about their gender identity or, can I make a referral or recommendation for any kind of surgical procedure or anything like that. So I don't think that when we think about all of the challenges that we have as school administrators and teachers, et cetera, this is kind of on the low end of the ladder in terms of challenges. That being said, when I was sworn in, I took an oath of office to uphold the Constitution of California and the United States, and I, as a board member, am governed by those laws and the California Ed Code. So if the decision had gone in the other direction, I would have been mandated to uphold that decision as well. So.
I don't really recall the questions, but I think I can take up a little bit. First thing, when my child is born, I give her a name. That name stays with her until she's out of my house. No name's going to be changed or anybody's going to give her a different name. If there's a problem that she has any, confusing about who she is, then I will take my child out of the school and deal with what's going on. I would sit down with her, I would kind of talk to her and make sure that I'm doing everything as a parent, in one-on-one. I'm not gonna rely on anybody else doing my job as a parent. So that's how I would treat it and how I see it, because every parent has a right. And every parent has a right to know what goes on with their child in the schools or anywhere that, that as long as the child's under your roof, I look at it, it's your responsibility. And I believe that until the child's out of your house, then they can do what they want. But as long as I'm the parent, they're under my roof, it goes what I say. So, sorry.
Okay, hit the record button. I agree with what the horse just said. It was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. Parental rights. Parental rights is the key here. Not what the governor wants, not what the legislature wants, not what the State Board of Education or the California Department of Education wants. No, it's what the parents want. And in cases of the guardianships, that's a little different. But when you have a legitimate parent, it's what they want for their child, period. There should be 100% affirmative consent for all activities in school. 100%, including the curriculum, by the way. The parent should have to affirmatively sign a document that says that their child may do this or may do that, period. That's how it should be, parental control. The parents are legally responsible for the kids. Guess what? That means they get to make the choice for the kids, not a school employee. That's just not how it works in a constitutional republic. So I absolutely agree. Education Code 60002, school boards shall promote involving parents. It's in the code. Well, the state says we can't because of AB 1955. Sorry, state of California, not doing it. We're going to follow this very ethical and moral law that actually promotes the rights of the parents. And kids in school at 12 years of age and up, they can get certain services in the schools with no parental notification. That is not acceptable. Everything happens with the kids needs to go through the parents and the guardians with affirmative consent.
I know, because I was a superintendent, maybe something has happened in 3 years. But when we had counseling services at our school, we had to get parent permission. Maybe that's changed, but they couldn't do it. A counselor would not see them without that parent permission. I do think, especially for this board position, this is sort of a low-end issue. I think that the courts will probably take this. I know there's lots of lawsuits out, and hopefully they will come to a decision that people can agree on with this. So I do believe in parent rights. Again, as a board member, I'm not board member, I'm sworn in. As was already mentioned, I'm going to follow the state constitution and the federal constitution. So I am going to go real quick back to my last question, because I ran out of time. And I certainly think that substance abuse prevention is very, very important for school. I saw some really bad situations in my career with families and how it tore them apart, and sometimes it had fatal consequences. And I don't want to see that happen, and I think it's only getting worse at this point. So, especially with fentanyl and with the legalization of marijuana.
Thank you. Cindy, you'll be first. What are your thoughts about educating students in media literacy? 1 minute, sorry, 1 minute for this. What are your thoughts about educating students in media literacy and helping them navigate misinformation or disinformation?
Well, thank you for the question. And there will be a presentation made, the date escapes me at the moment, but in the next week or two about the safety how families and schools can help youth navigate the internet, especially now that, AI has become so popular and readily available. A lot of the information in terms of the internet and social media protections will relate to being, scammed, those kinds of things. But one of the things that I see coming down the road in 2026 is the, no use of school phones in the school. So I think that will help a lot.
Yeah, I actually don't agree with them taking away for children to have the phones, because we have too many things happening in the school that sometimes children need to have a phone to reach to their parents. Call them and say, hey, this is what's going on. What if it's an emergency and you don't have your phone? And what if a shooter comes in and you don't have your phone? Those children are gonna be devastated. I think that was, to me, that's actually was, they shouldn't have done that. I think that was bad. But I mean, if it's, like I said, I'm always gonna say, if it's your child, you don't like something, you need to kind of think about what can you do? And take your child out, deal with the situation so that the children don't get retaliated against, because sometimes that happens. They retaliate against your child and they bully the child, because I was there. I know how it works. In Whitmore, I took my child out of the school because they were doing things at the school. They were misusing the funds. And so my child was getting mistreated. So I took her out and did a homeschool. And then I dealt with the problem. And I basically, the whole school, the staff and everything, the only thing was left, I'll tell you, the bus driver, the cook, and the secretary. That's how I dealt with it. I make sure it doesn't happen again.
The question again, please.
Sure. What are your thoughts about educating students in media literacy and helping them navigate misinformation or disinformation?
Okay, so media literacy training, number one, that belongs to the parents and the guardians first. If the school was to issue such training, that should be an after-school optional curriculum. And what concerns me is this George Orwell 1984 misinformation, disinformation. When the kids are indoctrinated that it's okay to censor people because they believe there's somebody saying something incorrectly or flat out wrong, that is censorship. That is stifling true debate of all aspects of an issue. So this is this damages the kids. It sets them up for failure now and as adults. There has to be a full open dialogue of all opinions, open debate, not censorship. And misinformation, disinformation, equity, and all these flowery terms, it's nothing but socialist, Marxist training of the kids. Yes, it is. Thank you for laughing.
I want to listen to everyone.
I just have a hard time understanding the question.
Sure. What are your thoughts about educating students in media literacy and helping them navigate misinformation or disinformation?
Yeah, I'm not that skilled in it, but I know that people are. Like my daughter, who was a librarian, and part of her job is information technology. And she goes and teaches class at Shasta College on how to use that, how to get the right information, accurate information. She teaches some of the teachers on how to look for that. So it is possible to make it work, and she's now been invited to high school. She's taught at UPrep and at Foothill High School, mostly to seniors, working on juniors and seniors, working on large projects. What is good information? How do you find good information that is accurate and true?
So I feel that media literacy is very important because our children are learning on computers, on the internet. They have access to the internet at school if they're in the public education system. And they need to know how to identify misinformation and disinformation. They're not flowery terms. These actually mean something. They mean that information is inaccurate. And people need to have critical thinking skills and learn how to identify them in the media world these days. If your children are not taught how to identify them, then they may be the kind of adults who go on Facebook and see a meme and are like, oh my gosh, that's real, and then they share it and spread it, and it spreads like wildfire, and all of a sudden, your entire community believes it. So it's very important to educate our children on media literacy.
All right, there's so many questions here. All right, I will ask this one. So you all mentioned several things, and we had questions about parent involvement and parent rights. This question is, if you're elected to the board, what will be your approach to abiding by the laws of the state of California and the education code if they conflict with your personal values?
My personal value,
Yes.
oh, okay. Well, like I said, I'm a person that I need to do research. I do a research, I make sure if there are laws, if they're prohibited, that means you cannot break them. That means you could get charged criminal. I will not go against the law. I will not break the law. But if there's ordinance or anything that we could change, I definitely look into that and make change. But what was the question?
Where did I? What is your thought on supporting abiding by state law and ed code if they conflict with your personal values?
Well, it's not about me. It's gonna be because my children are out of school, so my personal feelings are not gonna be involved. It's gonna be involved what the people, the citizens, the parents, and I listen to the parents and see what they want, what they're looking for, as long as they're not asking me to break the laws.
Thank you.
So there's a book entitled The Law by Frederick Bastiat, written about 1860 or so, a long time ago. It describes how evil governments use laws to control the population. We all want to be quote unquote law abiding, right? Well, you know what? When you're controlled by an evil state, which we are, they pass laws to take away our autonomy, our sovereignty, our parental rights. Ed Code 35160, legislature finds and declares school districts, boards of ed, superintendents have diverse needs unique to their individual communities and programs, and they should have the flexibility to create their own unique solutions. Now, there's a law I can get behind.
I sort of agree with that. It's make sure that you're talking to your community. You're talking to your staff, your teachers, your superintendent, and see what they're doing. Get as much information as you can. However, if it is law, I'm going to follow that law. I'm not going to break it, especially here at SCOE board. It's not really our job to do that. And, again, as I said earlier, if it's something that's really controversial, it's going to go to court. And hopefully the courts will solve that and come up with a final decision for it. So I have no problem with people challenging those policies that come up. As a superintendent, I got really tired of all the bureaucracy, but I dealt with it. And that's where, again, collaboration within Shasta County is great. So I would just call other school districts and find out what they were doing also.
So I agree with Dolores. It's not about my values when I'm an elected official. It's about the government. I mean, I wouldn't become a government official if I didn't want to follow the governmental laws. So I will follow the laws. If the community has thoughts about it and they're feeling like they don't agree with a certain law or suggestion that's being brought upon us by the government, then I may do whatever we can to support their voice being heard. But when it comes to actually following the law, then I think it's our job as board members to follow the law.
Yeah, I think in a sense I've already answered this question, but I would agree that, there may at some point in time, there may be a hill that I'm willing to die on. And if that ever happened, I would have to rethink my position on the board. But until that time, as I said earlier, I took an oath of office, and I will follow the letter of the law. And sometimes it's going to be super supportive of our students, and sometimes I might have a conflict with that. But again, that's my position, my oath of office.
Thank you. And Mr. Gallardo will go first for this one. And the question, 1 minute, is what do you see as the greatest teacher training needs currently?
The greatest teacher training needs, I'm reading a book now titled The Great Classroom Collapse, just released this year by Lance Izumi. Highly recommend everybody gets it. And there are many, 200 plus footnotes. It talks about how the teachers are not taught how to teach right, especially reading. It's a beautiful book. I'm only a third of the way through it, but getting teachers to effectively teach, I think that's the key. And that we may need to, and the California Constitution allows us to alter or reform anything about our state government that we don't like. The people can do that. But at the local level, we can alter and reform how the teachers are teaching the kids, because 20 years of test scores, you can look at the last 20 years of test scores, not looking real good. So, right, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So let's change the way teachers teach the kids.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What do you see as the greatest teacher training needs currently?
Well, there's all sorts of trainings I think teachers need. It's a very complex job that they have. And, it sort of depends on the teacher, it depends on the subject area, but I would say probably yes. Literacy is number one, and it's not, K3 is real important, but even after that, if the student didn't get it at that, they need those supports all the way up through high school. There's a great podcast out, I believe it's called Soul the Story. I think that's the way, Jennifer, I was already saying Fire Story, but or told the story, but I think it's Soul the Story. It was a little discouraging for me as a superintendent who really pushed reading, but it's also encouraging. Hey, if you're doing something wrong, change it and find out what was right about that and move forward. Always looking for improvement.
I agree with Mr. Gallardo. Literacy is got to be number one. We have less than 50% of our students able to read before third grade. We need to be focused on that, and obviously we're not doing a good enough job with teaching children how to read. So I do know that there are some really good trainings coming for teachers through SCOE. So I heard about that today at a SCOE board meeting. They talked a lot about it, and there's going to be a presentation coming out about it. I think that she will be able to tell you some more, but yeah, definitely literacy. I would like to see our kids being able to read by third grade more like 100%. That would be fabulous. So I think that's our biggest need.
Yeah, so SCOE does have an initiative that is, we have actually two initiatives, but literacy is one of the initiatives. And that was a huge topic of conversation today in our planning session. And, when we're looking at the big picture and talking about goals, that every child in Shasta County will know how to read. And there are some new literacy programs that are being introduced into the schools in the coming months. And it revolves around training the teachers on a particular format of teaching literacy curriculum. And then, of course, we have other things coming, the Dolly Parton Imaginary, I'm going to get this wrong. Yeah, the Imagination Library and some other, First Five is big on books and reading and literacy. partner with the library and preschool, so. And it's not just California, it's not just Shasta County, it's not just California.
What do you see as the greatest teacher training needs currently?
Well, to be honest, I don't know the reason why I say that, because I have not looked into it, but what I do know, I attended quite a few meetings in the schools. I do believe the kids need to be taught more, reading and writing, the basics. But for the teachers, I believe that the teachers need to be educated on their rights and what they can do, what they can't do. Because so many times we have teachers, they're afraid to speak up and regarding what they're doing or they can't do, and they're afraid to losing their job. So we need to educate everybody on their rights so that way we don't blame the teachers or always just say it's their fault, it's their fault. We have to find other solutions instead of doing the same old thing and expect a different result.
We'll pass it down to, you went first last time, so for John. Do you think prayer or religion has any place in public state finance schools? Why or why not?
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure who's trying to.
Sure, yeah, for you. Do you think prayer or religion has any place in public state finance schools? Why or why not?
No, that's not. And there needs to be a separation of church and state. I'd be, at my schools, we did have religious training, but it was after school and it was voluntary. And so there was no problem with that. And I supported that 100%. And it was all good moral values that the students were getting, how to behave, and I appreciate it. But as officially in the classroom, yeah. So some districts, small districts like where I lived, I knew my community. We did our Christmas program. We sang traditional Christmas songs on Holy Night, and Silent Night. So it can happen, but just as a policy, no.
Can you repeat?
Yes. As soon as I find it. What do you think that religion and prayer has a place in public state finance schools? Why or why not?
Okay, religion and prayer, do they have a place in public funded schools? Yes. I mean, I think that, first of all, we learn about education. We learn about religion. There are thousands of different religions. Students should be learning about them and being educated on what exists in the world. Prayer should be, if we're talking about mandating prayer to students, then of course not. But should a Christian student be able to go pray with their Christian friend? Yes, why not? Should there be able to be a Christian club at school? Yes, why not? Should there be able to be a Muslim prayer yes, of course. So I think people should be able to do what they want to express their religion, freedom of religion. I just don't think it should be mandated, obviously, or required to pray or anything like that.
If we're talking about religious education, I say no, that there should not be religious education or organized prayer groups. But as Jessica mentioned, if there are clubs or if a student is of a particular religion that requires regular, prayer times or something like that, then those opportunities should be provided. But I don't believe there should be any formal religious instruction. I think that some classes may provide some religious history, but that is different than actual instruction. Talk about indoctrination, there you go, in my opinion. So my answer is no, not in the schools.
That question, I believe that if there's any way that we could allow the children to have that available for them to have a class of prayer, or they want to learn of their culture, or, about God. I believe in God. I feel that my God should be my number one priority, which it is. It is, and every day I get up, I always make sure I pray. And without God, I don't feel I could do anything without Him, to have Him in my life to protect me. But if a family or children want to have that prayer or pray for the food, I don't think we could infringe in their rights if they want to pray. And we cannot, we got to be careful, because if we violate their rights, then we're looking at, consequences where we're interfering in the rights to religion. I believe if there's an opportunity, if there's there's no law prohibiting for them to do something in school, I will look into it. I would like to see if there's a possibility, because we're losing our prayers, our God in our life.
Yes, it's called freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. And everybody up here has said some very correct things. This really isn't even an issue at the point. The Supreme Court has opined on this on many, many cases. The status quo is legitimate, it's legal, it's lawful, and it's moral and ethical. So the question's a little misguided, I think, to begin with. So, guys, I don't think this is an issue at all.
So, Jessica, you'll be first, and we have about 10 minutes left, so we're going to move into our closing statements. And the candidates have 2 minutes to kind of make their final statement to you. And, there were more questions here. If you have other questions for the candidates, they've shared their sites, many of them. Many have materials out in the lobby, and there are materials here too, including some things I'll mention at the end, and some information about SCOE board members. So 2 minutes to wrap up.
Okay, well, can we hear me again? Okay, I'm not getting close enough, I guess. Okay, thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us tonight and giving us the opportunity to discuss why we would want to be on the board for Shasta County Office of Education. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a parent that has successfully navigated public education, both as a mother and professionally for nearly 1,000 students. I have very good working relationships with all of our schools, with our teachers, my children's teachers, and I've been very involved. I think that I can bring a lot of that experience to SCOE with ideas for their programming and policies and how to connect with parents and get them more involved. And I think, again, that I have a lot of experience with working with all different kinds of people, having been a regional director for an international organization, working with people from 52 different countries. I know how to work with all different kinds of people, and I think that would bring a lot to the county school board as well. So thank you again, and I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you. I would like to see the positive momentum that we've realized here in Shasta County in terms of education, inclusiveness, the different programs that we're able to offer our students and their families. We're not trying to separate the students from their families. So many of the programs that SCOE is able to offer includes the families. And when we talk about successful students are successful when we engage their parents and caregivers and their families. And so I just really want to underscore that in no way are we trying to separate students from their parents or give them any crazy ideas, and really want to and strive to partner with the parents and our community at large, because the schools can't do it alone, the teachers can't do it alone. SCOE certainly doesn't have that type of power or influence, or so I I'm really all about the community and engagement and moving forward with the awesome programs that we have and the wonderful staff at SCOE that implements those programs.
Okay, well, I have a lot of experience in the school boards, city council, and I do believe I have enough experience on everything I could think of. I want to give you a little bit of an idea. I do a lot of investigation, and I have to say to the parents and to the people who are there is a way to make those people that you think that cannot be accountable. You don't have to attack the whole school or the staff. I actually have a case pending. We're going to be going in November in the state regarding a staff, okay? And I actually worked on this case myself, and we're going to make the person accountable for the wrongdoing at the school. So I have accomplished quite a few things. I had a parent who actually was getting charged criminal for 1 year to go to prison. That case was dismissed because I was able to help them. So in the Whitmore, where I was able to make sure that we got rid of certain staff because they've been misusing funds. I have quite a few answers how to get there, but we don't have to attack the staff or the employees because there's a way, there's a will. So I just hope that you consider me because I do have the experience, and I hope I get your vote because I am also attending law school because of all the problems in the schools in the county. So my next school that I like to attend is State of Jefferson to learn the Constitution. But I have to go to a different college to make sure I'm able to get in there. So there's qualifications that I need to get there because I do want to learn. I'm continue to learn the law because we need to learn more than what we know as a parent. We have to know the law to be able to fight and able to defend our children. Without the law, you can't fight. You don't have the answers. So I just hope I get your vote. Thank you.
So, some people like to call me an extremist. Interesting. These are the same people that won't debate me, though. I'm a staunch conservative, and I'm also a staunch constitutionalist. Original state and federal constitutions are beautiful documents. They've been just watered, especially the state, has been watered down so much that it's almost meaningless. We have to get back and seize our local control and sovereignty via the state constitution. It's a beautiful document. I ran for this office 2 years ago. There were 2 seats, 5 candidates. I got 3rd place, so I did not get seated. But here's the key. I got 600 more votes than Rhonda Hull, a seated 17-year SCOE board member. So the voters know who I am. They know my morals and ethics and principles and where they're based from. And even 2 years ago, the voters were ready for some change and reform. And I believe with this new parental rights attack, I think the voters are really going to want some conservatives on the SCOE board. And by the way, in Peoria School District in Arizona, in Glendale, Arizona, they just recently refused to renew a 5-year mental health contract that was failing the kids. They said, nope, not going to continue to do the same thing. So I believe this is spreading around the country. Again, the parents, they know what's happening now. The parental knowledge of what's happening is getting really, really high recognition at the moment. And so I think we need to do that here too. We need to reevaluate everything, and if it's not working, eliminate it or reform it. And I also want to get these programs back down to the LEA level, to the local school level. They can form their own joint powers authorities and run these programs without SCOE at all, by the way. And let's just teach the kids how to be Americans. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. Couple questions and just comment on it. When the school I'm actually volunteering at right now, I know the teachers in the morning are strictly volunteer. They have a prayer group, so it definitely happens at school. Now the superintendent, there's a group of superintendents, principals, and a few teachers that we met, and once a month, early morning, and we have a prayer group for the Bible study. So it definitely happens. Religion isn't out of the school, it's just not officially in the school. For social emotional, I've got to tell a real quick story. I was always involved with sports at my school because it gave the kids a good outlet. I had a student in fifth grade showed up to run cross country. I knew him since kindergarten, sort of a rough student, rough background, rough house living situation. He showed up the first day in army boots and ran. The coach and I got together, we bought him a pair of running shoes. He ran really well with those, and the next day he came up to the coach and I, and he goes, you know what? This is like running on the clouds. And he ended up being very successful in cross country, and he ended up being in the military, and he still is very successful in the military right now. So graduated with academic honors, which just shocked me. So the whole social emotional, taking care of kids, watching out for kids, I think is vital. And I just wanted to say that I have no political agenda being on this board. I just want to see students succeed to the best of their ability and the abilities and training that we can give them.
So I have a couple of announcements. Before that, let's give our candidates a round of applause. So some of the candidates may be available after for questions. Their materials, again, are either on the table here or in the lobby. Our superintendent of schools, Mike Freeman, who's right here. If you have any questions for him, he'll be around as well. The league would like to invite you to our last forum, which is called Pies and Propositions, because there is both discussion of propositions and real pies that you can eat for free, right? One piece. They're usually very, very good. And that will be Monday, October 7th at 6 p.m. So you're all welcome to that. And that's at the First United Methodist Church on the corner of South and East in Reading. So on behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Reading area, I would like to thank you very much for your attendance. And please feel free to share the video of this event that will be on the League of Women Voters of the Reading area Facebook. Thank you.
Hey, you're a great audience. Thank you.
Jeff, I need to talk to you a second. It's true.